Hi, it's Bruce. It's Sunday, October 11th, 2009. It's a beautiful day here in New York, and I'm probably not going to be able to go out and enjoy it because I've got so much to do around the house today. Bill is at rehearsal, his final rehearsal for The Last Smoker in America, which opens tomorrow at the NIMPH Festival for a week. And then the week after that, I'm preparing to leave that Friday. We're going for a belated honeymoon to Paris, one of our favorite cities, visiting our friends Thomas and Olivier. Can't wait for that. Maybe I'll have a little blog about Paris. All right, so 2 controversial shows this weekend. The first one is OLEANNA by David Mamet. If you have viewed my blog over the past few years, you know that David Mamet's one of my favorite playwrights. However, OLEANNA is not one of my favorite David Mamet plays. I saw the original production with William Macy and Rebecca Pidgeon, who was David Mamet's girlfriend, and didn't much care for it and didn't like Rebecca Pidgeon at all. Of course, we like William H. Macy. What's not to like? Okay, so this is a revival on Broadway with Bill Pullman and Julia Stiles, film star Julia Stiles. I've seen her in films. I'm not quite familiar with her work. And directed by Doug Hughes, who also directed The Royal Family this season. All right, well, my problem with OLEANNA is that it is controversial, and that's fine. It can provoke a great deal of conversation, and that's good. I just think it's wrong. I think the 2 people are both really not likable. I think he sets it up so you don't really side with either one. You have a true argument going on here. It's about a teacher and a student. It's in 3 scenes. It's only 75 minutes. That's good. He's a jerk, and she's a witch with a B, with an agenda. She's an annoying person with an agenda, which you find out through the course of the 75 minutes. I don't want to give too much away, but it's set up for a confrontation at the end, and it's a big confrontation. It's shocking. People gasp, and at the end, I just wish both of them would have punched each other in the face. That's how I feel about OLEANNA. Now, this production is a good production, although the scene changes. I don't know if this is in the script or what, but I don't remember it in the original. Very noisy, annoying scene changes, and they are there for an effect, but the effect is actually like to plug up your ears because it's a little bit too noisy. So if you're a David Mamet freak and you want to see a controversial play, and it's 75 minutes, then you could go see OLEANNA. I really did like Julia Stiles. I loved her much better than I liked Rebecca Pidgeon in the original. And I like Bill Pullman. He has a professorial, underplayed kind of personality, and I think it works well for this play. So nice performances, nicely directed. Just not my favorite David Mamet play. Okay, so last night we saw Memphis, which is controversial in the fact that early reports I've heard people either like it or they don't like it. So you have to make up your mind there. I went in not knowing anything about it, and I actually liked it. I was very surprised. I really had not much interest in it, although I do like Chad Kimball, who's the lead. This is loosely based on a DJ from Memphis whose name was Dewey Phillips in the 50s. And I got a little clip from Dewey, actually, because I want to point something out when people say things about Chad Kimball. The music in this show is by David Bryan, who's a keyboardist for Bon Jovi, which, I know a little bit about Bon Jovi, but I don't know all the members. He also wrote Toxic Avenger music. Now this music is heads and shoulders above the music from Toxic Avenger. I loved songs Music of My Soul, Someday, Memphis, oh, especially Memphis Lives in Me. Love that. I still think it needs a little work. They have a week left. I think it's opening a week from Monday. Couple things like a song, She's My Sister. I don't think it lands quite well. I understand the dramatic point, but I don't know if it's musically or lyrically or how it's presented. It didn't quite gel with me there. Love the choreography. Sergio Trujillo did a fine job, and Christopher Ashley directed, and he moves that story right along. Now, Joe DiPietro did the book, and it's a serious musical, but then it has like some comic bits, and it's a little hard to gel the two together. I think he does quite well. Some of it's a little overly comic, but a lot of the humor does land well, and it needs it because it gets to be quite serious. It's about, as I said, based loosely on this DJ named Dewey Phillips, who introduced race music, or rhythm and blues, or early black rock and roll, into the white radio stations. This is material covered in Hairspray also, to a lighter, more comic effect in Hairspray. And if you're going to compare the two, Memphis will obviously probably come out not as well as Hairspray, but it's a completely different musical, and I really enjoyed the take on the music here. And just because it has some of the same subject matter, I don't see why you can't have two disparate musicals about this subject matter. It is quite interesting. As for the leads, Chad Kimball and Montego Glover. Montego Glover is a young black woman on, well, she's not on the rise. Chad Kimball plays the DJ, and he discovers her, and he promises that he's going to do something with her career, and meanwhile he's falling in love with her. Now, I'm familiar with Chad Kimball's early work because about 10 years ago, Bill and I went to see a production of Sideshow at the Boston Conservatory. It was a school production, but it was done at the Majestic Theater, a full-blown production of Sideshow, and with all BOCO students. And Chad Kimball played Buddy in it. And I tell you, after that show, all I could say is, like, this Chad Kimball, this guy's ready for Broadway. Well, he's got a lead on Broadway now, and I'll tell you, it's a controversial performance. I've heard people not like it, but I thought he just jumped off the cliff and ran with it. And now, I'm going to play a little bit of something I just discovered online today, because I wanted to do some history about the character. His character, Huey, is based on Dewey Phillips. So here's a clip of Dewey Phillips speaking on the radio.
Go running right through the front door and tell them Phillips sent you down there. Red Hot and Blue, the next 15 minutes of Red Hot and Blue is coming to you, the courtesy of that good old Omega Flower. We're going to play the next record for Leanne Sandwich, for Erna Keene, Annie L. Sandwich, for Kathy, for W.J. Johnson, also for Yuma Black, for Erna Black, for Porter, for Ruby Young, I believe this, a call for Monroe Williams, and the title is Sage. You ever get booted? But here's a record that's getting hot, man. Booted by Roscoe Garden.
So as you can tell, Dewey had a heavy Memphis accent, and so Chad uses that. Chad does a little more drawl because obviously that was a DJ voice, and he's just speeding through that. But I think Chad's interpretation of Dewey Phillips is remarkable, and it's odd, it's quirky, it's over the top, and I think the audience really fell for it. Everyone around me just gave him big cheers at the curtain call. So I recommend Memphis, and I know that some people it's just not going to gel with them. But I think it's got a lot of great stuff in it. The audience was into it, and it was mostly a white audience. It was, I would say, 98% white, and I think that's going to change when people hear about it, because it's got some great performances in it. It's got some fun music. It's got some fun and inventive choreography. It moves along. It's got great performances by Chad Kimball and Montego Glover, and it's original. It's an original musical. It's not a revival. So I'll be controversial and weigh in on the positive side of Memphis, and I wish it well, and I hope a lot of people can get out there and see it and judge for themselves. Then we can argue.